I've decided it's been too much fun taking the engine in and out of this thing, so we're gonna make a game out of it, see how many times we can do it just in this year alone. So we got back from Moab, insert clip of clutch destruction now. So here's the clutch that was in the Jeep. This was a fiber style clutch, so it had fiber going around both sides of the clutch. And what happened was we're trying to climb a nearly vertical rock wall. And I knew I didn't have low gearing, so I knew I was gonna have to hit it pretty hard. But what I didn't think about is not physically having enough power to go up the hill. A, because of lack of low gearing, and B, because the carburetor in the sub was just choking out all the horsepower, dumping so much fuel it couldn't even rev up. So what happened was the clutch got so hot, the pressure plate didn't have enough clamping force, that ended up melting onto the flywheel. And it seems like the flywheel might be salvageable. So this is a puck style clutch. This is like also known as a snowplow clutch. This is what people use when they need a little bit more heavy duty workload out of the Jeep. These fiber ones are nice because you can slip it, good drivability, whereas these are more of an on-off. They have way more grabbing force on the flywheel than the fiber style clutch, so this will keep it from burning out. This clutch got totally roasted out on that one hill, which I knew something bad was going to happen, but we didn't really have a choice where we were going. And the clutch before this one got smoked pretty good. Just when the wheels got in a bind, I didn't have enough horsepower to turn them. So I know that fiber style clutch just isn't enough for the Jeep, especially with all the traction I got. So we're going to go with this and see what happens. There is so much clutch material down the bottom of the bell housing. That is all clutch. All that. We got really lucky here. The flywheel turned out to be pretty nice actually. Nothing crazy from that clutch melting to it. It does have a little bit of a ridge up here, but we're not too worried about that because this clutch is known for tearing up flywheels, so that little bit's not going to hurt this thing any little bit. So we've got that ready to go. Got a new pressure plate. This one's not bad, but figure while it's out, put that on there. We also got a new throttle bearing because the dust got inside of the old one and it was super grindy sounding, so got that. This thing appears to be pretty decent, so not too worried about that either. Getting pretty good at this, unfortunately. Everything is together, ready to rock. So we're out here at Bundy Hill Off-Road Park in Jerome, Michigan. We got one of our vendors that are out here, so I decided to take one for the team and come pick up the parts and go play out in the trails. So the Submarine's up and running, and first impressions, been here about 5 minutes. Running way better than it ever has. I don't know if you can tell on camera or not, but it's actually running really quiet and pretty smooth. We're only running one fan at the moment, and we're running at 160 degrees. So that's cool. I've got 2 fans on there. The clutch that I put on there, that puck style that they say is pretty much for plowing only, super hard to control. Honestly, it's the best clutch that's ever been in it. Runs really good, super easy to use. So I decided the first trail I should go on should be this rocky one, because I just wanted to see could I have done the Rubicon Trail or not with my current setup with a new carburetor and clutch. And I'm quickly finding out that the gearing is still not low enough. So, oh well. The problem is you gotta kind of go fast. You can't just creep it because you don't want to burn out the clutch. So you gotta just kind of nail her. So this trail is pretty narrow, but the problem is this ditch is just wide enough that the old Willys can fit. So I'm thinking come up on here and get out. situation update. Bottomed out on the hill, which, oh, no big deal. You use a winch, connect some trees. Well, newsflash, the winch rolls back and forth even when it's in gear. So you can't use the front winch, so you go to use the rear winch. So you just gotta turn on the Jeep so you don't run the battery dead. Well, the floorboard just welded to the starter. I could see the sparks under there. I wonder if the drivetrain's just kind of cocked because we're at an angle and it hit the floor and now it's welded. So that's wonderful. So gotta yank this tunnel off. Get that out so the starter can't arc on the floor. Then gotta run the rear winch under the Jeep to the trees up front. Because we go backwards, it's gonna yank the Jeep down the hill. And oh, by the way, bent the floor right there. So we're having lots of fun. Holes over there. So what we're gonna do now is get this thing kind of ready for Badlands. And what I'm gonna do is, we know the Jeep runs, drive, stops pretty decent now. It does kind of break up. It's got a flat spot in the carburetor. But it really likes it if you get full throttle, which I'm not complaining. So what we gotta do now is kind of fix some things that happened prior to the Moab trip that I just been putting off. So the moment we're loading up the bus going that big Colorado Moab trip, we never drove the Jeep inside the bus before. So rather than kind of driving up, we wanted to winch it inside. So I just come over here and this lever just would not move at all to free spool. Could not figure out why, and we're pulling on it. And finally it moves over, and then hook up the winch and everything, go to use the switch, and it's just free spooling. It doesn't engage. Well, come to find out in these things, I spent a couple years restoring the Jeep. Well, what happened is these have oil in them, and the oil went down to the bottom, got rid of all the lubrication here, so I went to move this lever. It actually broke inside. So I ordered a new lever, got that here, and then went out to Bundy Hill, went to use a winch, and it was still free spooling. I couldn't figure out why, because this thing was engaging right. Well, come to find out, when I pulled Grant's Jeep out of the mud hole at Redbird Off-Road Park, we think we let too much cable out of the winch, and the terminal, there's a little spot right here where this would kind of bolt to the side, and that keeps the rope onto the spool of the winch. Well, that pulled out, so I forgot about that. I just tied a knot around the rope and then spooled it back up. Well, even with layers over the rope, it wasn't tight enough for it to pull the Jeep in, and the spool was just rotating underneath the rope. So we got a new terminal crimped onto here. It's like a 0 gauge wire terminal. So we got that on there, and I just need to find a bolt to put that on and spool this up. Next step happened in Moab is the old snorkel. So this thing was running so poorly out there that I yanked the snorkel off of it and gained a little bit of air intake, some horsepower, because I didn't know at the time my carburetor was actually broke on the inside, and just dumping fuel in it. And when we had this inside the bus, the Jeep wasn't working. We had pushing the Jeep inside. Forgot this was laying on the floor, and it actually got ran over. But you can see this stuff's super sturdy. Even for being run over, it still got some shape to it. But luckily, I have lots of extra. So this stuff's pretty sweet, super flexible, nice rubber coating. I mean, makes a really nice tight bend, especially for being 3 inches thick, and pretty durable. Alright, with this thing off, actually looks like a little bit of Moab dust in here than anything else, so that's good. This end we got a little bit of dirt in there, not terrible. So we got a little bit of dirt on here, not bad at all. Nothing on the inside, so that's sweet. So we're gonna go ahead and clean this thing up. So what we got here, even though this is a Spectre filter, which is the eBay brand of K&N, although this stuff is just as good as K&N. This stuff comes packaged super nice, even in the little cloth baggie and everything. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna use the K&N cleaner kit, because that's just what I got laying around. So the filter is clean already. So this is basically oil that you spray in the air filter. Kind of helps it out. So you can see the color difference when I spray this thing. Check that out. Alright, we got the intake cleaned up, ready to go. The snorkel has been cut. So now all we got to do is get everything lined up. We're going to put our zip ties through these little slots. And these will actually rub through the rubber on the intake, so we're going to take some of this foam and we're going to put between there. So that'll just be a layer of protection.